I'll
Oh,
go
yeah.
and do some mats and all that.
Wow.
Uh, should the app for this go in data bounty time or what? I don't.
Bounty time in the past.
Yeah, we could just do data bounty.
Alright, I'll just edit that channel to be data bounty and others later.
Short story time. I'll wait for like a couple seconds after our funny Discord server is added. Oh.
I'll get her.
Thanks, Penny. All right. What are we doing here, lizard friend?
Well, I was just waiting to, for just a couple seconds for everyone to filter in.
Yeah.
But hello there, everybody. Today, we're going to be holding a hopefully short, hopefully sort of calm, short story. Which, effectively what's going on here is, Cadence is sitting back in a private room of this cafe sort of fancy establishment waiting for someone. And, effectively, it's not going to be too much more than that. It'll probably just be a simple conversation, summating, you know, the calm sort of stuff. But we have, me, and then there's Iris here, who will be playing the guest.
Indeed, yes. This is certainly going to be interesting. I'm interested to see how this is gonna go. But I'm very excited.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know how we do the rest of the intro for short stories, but funny Discord link, funny want to see more of us, go there. Funny whoa.
Funny those things, yeah. Come join us. We have a lot of fun.
But other than that, I think we can probably just start with funny Cadence, legs kicked up, checking the time by looking at a clock that's somewhere in the room, just thinking to herself, saying aloud, it'd be like her to stand me up, but I really don't think she would.
Wow. Just a few minutes after their reserved time would start, pretty much right on time, a certain someone will come through the door and duck through the curtains with her standard arrogant smirk on her face, sort of, and not say anything right away, just sort of take a seat, scraping the chair across the claypot. No, but just taking a seat and sitting down and staring across the table at Cadence with some interest.
As soon as Vivian steps in, it would take her a little bit, but she would sort of soften up, bring her posture back to normal, just sort of sit straight up. Hey.
Greetings.
Vivian.
I can say I was rather surprised to get an invitation of this kind. I have a girlfriend after all, but of course I figured it was more for business-related things, so what is it you want?
She just kind of blinks at the girlfriend comment. Right. So she takes in a deep breath. I've recently hit class 2, as you can see. You're a probably class 3 or beyond character or something. I don't really
You could say that.
know your true power level or whatever. I just kind of wanted to talk shop about the future, I guess.
The future. Alright. Color me intrigued, I suppose. She sort of puts her elbows on the table and leans on one of her hands.
By the way, I think that, if you write down what you want, I think the fucking people who run this place will probably get you food soon.
Yes,
But-
I've been to this one before. And she does so.
No, that's not a shocker. This is the gaudiest place I could afford, so...
It's on the lower end for
Shrugs.
me, but hey. It's nice enough.
But, effectively, right? I'm class 2, I'm an outclass, all that sort of stuff. And if we're thinking about it... Because we've both shown up on DBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's probably going to be a situation where they're going to pit us against each other for, obviously, because it's the rival match. Like, oh, you killed my dad. I've done basically nothing wrong to you. I'm a hero, so, it's natural. But to be entirely honest, I don't really care a lot for that.
Just to... She sort of thinks for a second. In case there was any ambiguity of this kind, Cadence, I didn't, reveal myself and taunt you and all that just for the sake of starting some rivalry or anything like that. That was never really my intention, though I can see how you may have assumed such. But you're expecting the whims of your DBA to battle of destiny, the two of us or whatever.
It ain't mine, but since we've both shown up on it, I feel like it'll latch on to whatever story point's gonna seem interesting that week. As far as I know, it's not really a place that anyone owns. It's just a place where they'd said, oh, you go there and you get stronger, but instead it's you go there and random bullshit happens that just so happens to be coinciding with your existence. Once you show up, it's just kind of like the touch of death. You're just kind of there until the roller coaster decides to stop.
And you're meeting with me here as sort of a way to sort of sidestep that issue, to avoid going up against me, is that right?
See, the way I see it, we're not gonna avoid anything. It's gonna happen whether we want it or not. Like, I could be at a grocery store and, you could literally just be passing me on the street. It would just happen because who even cares? It's just luck and nonsense. But to be honest, if I'm thinking about it, considering the big confrontation that happened a week or so ago, I forget, time dilation nonsense, right? With your sister and then those 6 people. It took... Yeah, sore spot probably, but...
She's not looking pissed at you, she's just looking like, uh-huh.
It took... She, thinks a moment. What was that? 5 outclasses, and then 1 just really strong dude. And if we're thinking about it, that's the average at this point. There's a chance that, if you and I were to fight, there's probably, if it's a DBA thing, at least 5 other guys. Maybe some of them will have outclasses, maybe some of them won't. I know that I'm going to be one of the people who has an outclass, and I'm probably going to have to use it if we're going all out. But the problem is, I kinda don't want to.
Really?
Yeah.
As in, you don't want to use this outclass of yours, or you just don't want to put in the effort in general?
It's not that. It's not. I don't want to use the outclass. To be honest, if we're going to have a fight, like if it was just no stakes, you and I just fight, decide to call it a day at some point, I wouldn't be bothered by that. But if I'm putting everything in, I don't want to bet everything, you know?
Right. I see. I imagine there's like a slight pause in the conversation while like the, waiter brings in her food. I'll just un-GM layer it. Just some sushi. Because that's a common asset. And she starts, she's silent for a moment and she just like, takes a couple of bites. I'm rather surprised, I suppose, that you would be this forward-thinking about this situation. You've thus far struck me as someone who just leaps headfirst in everything she does without really thinking. But,
That's the DBA mindset. It's mostly just, I can't prepare for anything when I'm on camera. So I just kind of try to fight everything, is how it's supposed to work. And it's worked. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of annoying. I'm used to drawn out, thought out hunts, not like fight Mr. Fuckscape and his never-ending plane of torment.
Yes. Rather droll things like that do tend to happen, don't they? So, if I have this right, essentially what it comes down to is that if we do fight, you would rather it be like that friendly competition we had before, rather than a sort of bloody battle to the death, as high stakes as it was when your associates fought my sister. Is that right?
Yep, basically.
Interesting. And do you see this arrangement as mutually beneficial in some way? What is it you'd wager I would get out of something like that, I wonder?
She just kind of like thinks, leans back. I mean, that's an issue because I don't know you, honestly. I can't really say what you would want or get out of it because I can't even really assume you would care for half of it.
Well, I appreciate that at least. Here's
I
the
mean,
deal,
I
right?
guess... Sorry.
You finish.
If nothing else, what we both get out of it is just... She thinks for a moment. The peace of mind that is really coming for each other's heads. Because, I mean, I'll be real. I have bigger things. No, that's wrong. She just kind of like puts a hand on her head. I don't know what my dad had against you. I'm not my dad. I don't want to like deal with this all my life. And I know that like that whole confrontation, he was like after you or something. But like, if I'm gonna be real, and with how strong I am, I don't honestly believe that, like, that's a lead I want to take on right now.
Well, there's nothing wrong with admitting to your limitations. And I am being genuine when I say that.
She has a little, like, twinge when she says that, like when it's worded that way, but, like, pats out the little flame that starts.
Here's the situation, my point of view, Cadence. Your DBA, though you say that it's some kind of just chaotic thing where who knows what's going to happen, you know, blah blah blah, while that is true to an extent, I believe, and my mother believes, that there certainly are people in charge of it in one way or another, even if it's only in the loosest sense. There's that chaotic man, Neo Bagel, for one thing. And the whole shadowy cabal he has surrounding him. And though things are unpredictable, if you look at things from a wider standpoint, there are some patterns that you can point out with certain directions this organization has been taking. And from an outside perspective, as someone with a lot of connections to very powerful forces within this world, a lot of them have their eyes on DBA right now, circling it like sharks, whatever metaphor you like the best. Feel free to use that one. It's becoming a rather... It's becoming a focal point, and whether it's an irritating one or a opportunity to capitalize on just depends on who you are. And at the current moment, I said before, you don't know what pond you've all been dipping your toes into. Things are only going to get more hectic and more complicated from here, the way I see it. And a lot of you being arrogant enough to think you can take us on. And I know it's not all of you. It's mostly Venus and her associates, comrades, whatever. That victory has, well, it's only exacerbated things. And it's only made things, from my perspective, even more irritating. So, if we are to have some battle, personally, I'm not going to engage in one just without any reason to. And if my own reasons just happen to coincide with, you know, whatever eventual destination DBA is heading towards, then fine enough, I suppose. But, well, I can say I don't have any concrete plans of any kind at the moment. I've honestly just been sort of in a rut lately with how things have been going. How do you feel about DBA, Cadence?
It's a means to an end, to be entirely honest. If you haven't, well, I mean, you probably have, but I'd say, to be entirely honest, DBA is 25% scumbags, 25% people in over their head, and 50% hero, probably. Maybe even like 50% people in over their head, but you get the idea.
If we're being generous, I suppose. No, go on. I apologize.
No, that was all I was gonna say. It was just like... those are just like numbers I thought up out of my head. Because... realistically... I'm... just going to go out on a limb and say there's probably a lot of villains just piggybacking off of DBA publicity to not go to jail, and a lot of trashy people going to DBA so that they can do whatever the fuck they want and get stronger without the threat of punishment, I guess. And to be honest, the sniveling fucking runts drive me up the wall. But I'm not gonna stay quiet about that one for long.
Interesting. But to you personally, rather than at large, DBA is just an avenue for your training, yes? I'm assuming it's something that you go to as a matter of routine so that you can get strong enough to... what? Defeat people like me? Defeat anyone who just gets in your way as a matter of feeling secure about yourself? What is it? What drives you? Because to be honest, I haven't really been able to figure too much out about you in the time since we've met. You're right that you aren't like your father. He had a very singular drive, and I do as well. Of course, very different. But what is it you want out of all of this? She sort of gestures around her.
Well, if I'm gonna be talking about that, I mean, I want to hear about you as well, because I'm
Really?
just confused. I mean, there's no real reason not to. I have you right here. There's no reason to just be, I guess, coy about it. Unless you're, like, gonna be all superiority about it, but, like, whatever. Doesn't matter to me if you talk or not.
If you want to hear what I have to say, I'm happy to share some things. I never took you for one who'd be interested in something like that, hearing the other... well, how the other half lives, if you want to put it that way.
She shrugs. Maybe I'm a different breed of hero. But realistically, what my goal is, it's not to beat you down or beat anyone into submission or like whatever. I just want to see people go home safe. Yeah, that includes you, which is why I don't want to go all out. Not saying I would beat you, but there's a chance luck can fuck over whoever it wants. But if we're gonna
I understand that.
if we're gonna be like real, I just do not like the idea. She just takes a deep breath.
Of me being your enemy?
No, that's not the point. I hate the idea of people missing a part of their family. Call me the fuck out, I guess. Because it's pretty goddamn obvious, but...
No, I understand.
If
So
I
the
had the
small-
option...
The small town local hero sort of thing, is that it?
I guess if you want to call it that. To me, the victory is everyone gets to walk home. Whether or not they're happy about it, that's not my fucking prerogative. If they're walking and they can make it back to their family, fine enough by me. If I've got to beat the shit out of someone to do that, I don't like that, but fuck it. Strength is the only way people really understand anyways. Be a strength of epithet, strength of heart, strength of body, whatever.
Well, Now that's also something we can agree on, I suppose. She sort of thinks... Yeah, she has a thoughtful expression as she, takes a few more bites. Well. Let me ask you this. If I start telling you about myself, my own motivations, my own goals, there's a very high likelihood that you strike me as someone who leaves well enough alone unless you're seeing it happen literally right in front of you. But I don't think you're going to earn some kind of greater appreciation or affection from me if I tell you the kinds of things that I do on a daily basis, considering how many family members I've prevented from returning home.
We're just gonna add an enmity for that one, but
This is the plan all along.
I mean, yeah, it's no secret. I didn't pretend that, like, I don't assume that you're just casually doing whatever on a day-to-day basis. Or doing whatever without hurting anyone on a day-to-day basis, but, like, just kind of don't fucking understand.
Let me see if I can put it in terms that make it a bit easier. People are people. Whether they're just on their way home from work, or whether they are part of some, one of the many shadowy mafia organizations, or criminal overlords, or corrupt corporations, or whatever, what have you. To me, people are just people. And like you said, the strength of those people, whether physical, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, skill maybe, is what separates them. And to me, how do I put this? If you're like you, and you're content with doing the small-time things that make you feel like you're doing the right thing, and make you content with yourself, that's utterly fine. But if you're like me, and you're aiming for the very top, then there are going to be a lot of people that you have to drag down in the process. And that's how life is. That's how life always had been. And frankly, anybody who looks down on that perspective is probably selling something, or living in a very privileged sort of fantasy world where they want to feel like they're riding the highest horse and looking down on all the people like me. No empathy, no humanity, no sense of right and wrong, when in actuality they're doing exactly the same thing, just on a lesser, perhaps less ambitious scale. You know what I mean?
So success at the cost of
Anything.
those around you. And yeah.
And of course that makes me, just the worst, the most evil sort of scumbag that could ever exist, I know. But, again, that's really not the kind of thing that's ever concerned me or the majority of my family members at that. And if you can't accept our way of life, then that's fine. You can be another bug crushed underfoot on our way to supremacy. But, again, I'm sure you don't want to hear about how much you should hate and revile me, because I'm sure neither of us are ever going to come to some kind of common ground on that front. But if you do want to know other things, feel free to ask away. I don't know where I would specifically start.
I guess first question is your family immune to your conquest?
Oh, I mean,
Or all
my
of you just
family.
looking for the chance to throw another one in the mud so that you can get on top of them?
Well, even within something as small of a blanket as, or small of a category as my family, has a lot of variables going on inside of it. There are certain ones of us who most certainly have that mindset, and there are others who prefer to, chill out and play video games, shall we say. But for me, I fall somewhere in the middle. I love my family members very much. Much like Cynthia, I care for them and I want to protect them. Genuinely. I know it's probably very hard to believe, but I do. Now, does that mean that if it came down to a choice between my own ambitions and inconveniencing one of them, well, I don't know. Again, it depends on the exact situation. But, by and large, I think we're a lot tighter knit than most families. If you're asking me.
Especially the ones that you sever, but
It's
Are
not
you
like I
just
know the
dissent-
circumstances of everyone I kill, Cadence.
yeah.
In
Everyone
any
lives
given-
just as interesting a life as you, but you can't see that. No one can.
No, I suppose we're all locked in our own little boxes, if you want to think about it that way.
Are you just desensitized to the killing? Is it just fun for you? Why? Like, I understand it's to get to the top. Have you ever, like, thought of... Why am I even asking you if you've ever thought about not killing someone? That's such a stupid fucking question.
There
She
are
takes
plenty
in
of
a
times
deep
where
breath.
I choose not to kill people, Cadence. Even when I'm on some kind of a job that requires the, frankly, mass slaughter of a group of individuals, for one thing, 9 times out of 10, those groups of individuals are every bit as bad and heinous as the rest of us. And of course, you have to take into account, oh, but they're just providing for their families in the best way they know how, blah, blah, blah. You see, it's completely impossible the deeper you look into something like this. But there are plenty of times I choose not to kill, such as that if it wouldn't directly benefit me, or if it's someone I don't believe directly deserves it in some way. But, quite frankly, yes, it is fun. In the same way that I'm sure you find your hero stuff, protecting people, feeling like you're strong enough to reach out and help others, you find that fun. And I find moving upwards fun. It's the sense of winning, I think, for me. For others, it's any number of different things, but if you're trying to look any deeper than that, you're not going to like what you find, I don't think. Because it might be nothing.
Is it nothing? Or do you just not want to show me?
I mean, she sort of folds her arms a bit, leaning back slightly. I mean, I'm not like a psychologist or anything, Cadence, but I'm sure being raised in a family of other villains who are as ambitious as myself probably has something to do with it. Maybe it has something to do with my mother's epithet, and Venus is just the odd one out in that sense. Maybe I just don't care as much as you and she seem to about that kind of a thing, I don't know what to tell you, honestly.
She? When you were talking, you mentioned something about me and she. You mean like your
Venus,
mom or Venus?
Yes, Venus. She likes to think she's doing the right thing a lot of the time as well, being her strong, heroic self, protecting others, refusing to kill, and blah blah blah. But I mean, the thing is, yet again, you said it yourself, if you take DBA entire group rather than as a individual entity that you or she are, by and large, DBA has killed plenty of people on its rise to glory as well, and like it or not, you're part of that. We're all inextricably tangled in one another's weaves, trying to do what we think is best for ourselves, and you're not going to tell me you've never killed anyone, right?
They think on it. They just sort of ponder that for a while. If we're not counting things that were already dead, if we're not talking about robots that were actively murdering other people and all that sort of stuff, I don't honestly think that's a loaded question because every being has killed something at some point in their life. You've stepped on a bug, literal. You've probably fucked with some of the microorganisms on yourself. There's just no way to avoid hurting something. But at that point, the question may as well just be, have you killed anything that's on the level of a person? And of that question, I can say I haven't.
Really? That's surprising.
I haven't been put in the position to. I haven't wanted to.
And that's fair enough. But people who just live out their ordinary lives or try to live out a somewhat selfless life thinking that they're better than someone like me just doesn't register for me. The way I see it, every person on Earth is put into a grand arena with 7.5 billion other participants or contestants. And the majority of them might not even know where they are or what they're doing. But some do. And those are the kinds of people who I aim to outplay.
God. She just sort of takes a moment, holds the cross on her necklace, and just as a quiet moment passes, prays a little bit to calm herself, it seems.
She smirks a bit, but just sort of continues eating.
You know, was there anything specific between you and my dad? Was that just a thing, or was that like a one-time moment? Because I don't know how old you are. You were a teenager, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. How long ago was it again? About 10 years, was it?
10.
8, 9?
Specifically 10.
Right. Then I was 18. You're thinking I must have been pretty bad for him to be going after someone that young, right?
No, I'm just wondering, was there literally anything there? Did you... like, what?
I think there was a lot more to it for him than there was for me. Excuse me. For me, he was just one of many people who wanted me dead. I'm Vivian Vanderbilt, after all, and that last name carries a lot with it. To him, honestly don't know the full extent of it. What he saw me as, probably just some scared, misguided kid who went along the wrong path. He certainly tried to lecture me, I suppose, as we fought, and give his side of things, but, well, I just stayed focused.
Uh-huh. Was it a 2-on-1, or was it just...
1-on-1.
And yet, a sister of yours ended up doing the killing?
I incapacitated him, and I'm not going to go into too many specifics for the sake of her privacy, but I essentially asked, as she was nearby, what she thought we should do with him, because she and I were on a job together at the time, and he was a factor that we had to consider. So she decided to do some experiments.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. She's, quite the biologist, I suppose you could call her. And she wanted to see what made his body tick. So, she tore it up into neat, orderly little categories, and then, once, of course, he was long gone, and don't worry, he was utterly unconscious for the duration, and she had also taken a look at that little artifact that you all keep hold of, she decided enough was enough, put him back together again, and that was that. I believe the authorities just found him after that.
What the fuck?
I just watched. She sips her drink.
Like, yeah. But why? Yeah, no, don't fucking answer the question. Don't. My fucking god, people don't have anything better to do than to take apart corpses, I guess.
Well, she was still learning at the time. She was even younger than I was.
So... she just sort of takes a moment. Okay. Biologist one, then. I'm assuming not Elixabeth.
I'm not going to say. It's not my place to tell you.
I think...
And it would only spoil this fine evening we're having, I'm sure, if I did tell you.
I think it's my right to know, considering it was my goddamn dad. But, whatever. It'll probably come up at some point, because DBA is fucking bullshit.
Oh, of that I'm practically certain. She has all of her own scheme spinning around in her head. Maybe even more than I do.
Because... if that's the case...
Do you
She
think she's
just
going
sort
to
of-
be easier to seek revenge on than me? Because I'll tell you right now, you are very much mistaken on that front.
That's not what I care about. Just want to fucking know.
Well, again, I would tell you if it was my place to, but it would cause a whole snafu. Oh, but it would. It would stoke the fires of your epithet if you did know.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh, certainly. And again, this has been a nice evening so far. Nice enough, at least. Why spoil that?
You know, actually... Why the... She just kind of chuckles a little bit. So, because of, you know... You just, because I'm thinking about it. You and I just keep to show up in the same place a lot of the time. Some fucking how, some fucking way. Like, this is the only time I've ever been to a place and specifically this has been set up. Right? What's up with the dumb Nepenthe stuff, huh?
That epithet canceling drug? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, the sewer water or whatever.
The bone hurting juice? Yes. Honestly, I don't have any idea what the practical use of such a thing could be. I really don't know anything about it at all myself. Why do you ask?
Really don't know anything about it?
No, honestly. Oh, wait. Are you referring to what happened with that Rain woman?
I mean, that's what I've heard.
I
Assume
only
your
gave
story's
her-
different.
I only gave her over to someone else. Facilitated the transaction, so to speak. After that, I have no idea what happened. Other than that she was injected with it.
Right. Writing that down in my notes.
And of course, as per usual, I can't tell you any more than that. In this case, I literally can't.
Literally. Like you don't remember?
As in, I'm under certain kind of contract that prevents me from doing so, quite literally. My tattoo hurts a bit just glancing around the subject.
Tattoo.
Mm-hmm. I'd show you if it wasn't in a bit of a private
Oh,
location.
God. I don't know anything about you, but that really feels in character.
This is the kind of thing you have to do in my line of work.
But... Uh-huh. She just taps her foot a little bit. She has been picking away at her food, but it's just, I haven't been describing it.
Yeah. Vivian's finished most of hers.
By the way, just because I guess I want to get this out of my system, right?
Sure. Seems there's a lot of that going around.
This fucking note, right? Takes out the note that was left with her dad. You know, the consider it a favor. Just sort of sets it on the table. Assume that's from the sister, right?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. In what fucking universe does she think that's a favor?
She is rather strange, isn't she? I could make a few guesses at what was going through her mind, but honestly, I don't think it's anything that would change your mind in any respect.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
If I had to guess, it might have been referring to the ring.
Well, no shit. But obviously, there's no point to whether or not she picked the ring up or if she left it. Because I'm assuming you guys were all class fucking whatever by the time that happened.
I
And
just
the
hit
ring,
class 3 at the time, yes.
yeah. Ring doesn't fucking work if you don't hit that threshold. Like, sure, you can access whatever. It loses its luster the second the user dies, and then you gotta build it all back up, and then if you're already, like, class whatever, I'm assuming it just does jack shit other than let you use whatever it has. And, you know, leaving it with me basically was like, I guess calling it pointless is rude, but
Oh, but see, you have to have a bit of a more ruthless mindset, Cadence. Wouldn't you consider it a favor as such that it could have been some kind of silent invitation for you to grow stronger and follow the path you have been? Or perhaps it's more of a favor insofar as, rather than being thorough about the matter, she decided to leave a potential avenue for revenge to be made against her rather than just killing everyone he knows or something like that. That's what I
So
probably
there's-
would have done.
so there's like fine print to this bullshit.
Just
if you
implications, I think.
If you like spare a firefly that just so happens to like brush past you, is that like a is its life indebted to you? If you like fucking
I think it's more of a case of taking one egg from the nest as opposed to smashing them all. Again, that's probably what I would have done.
yeah.
Just being honest.
She just sort of like looks up at the ceiling for a little bit, tapping her foot.
Any other questions?
She thinks for a second, looks over to her, and is just like, honest to God, do have other things to say. I just don't know how to fucking put it into words.
You can take your time. I'm not particularly busy this evening. Though I have a question for you as well.
Sure. What's up?
Well, if we go back to your original request, reason for this meetup, other than breaking the ice, I suppose you'd call it. Is this
Well,
request
like shattering a glacier, but you know.
Is this request for us to go easy on one another and not come for one another's throats? Is that a request or a deal you want to make? Because, see, I would think of it as some kind of a favor, right? And, as you know, favors carry a lot of weight with us.
It's a favor to both of us.
I suppose so, but you're the one that's inquiring about it in the first place, aren't you? Doesn't that mean I get to set the terms?
I assumed the terms would just be asterisk being if you're on a job, like whatever, fair game, And if it's endangering civilians, fuck it. But to be entirely honest, I'm not going to be... I'm already pissed off that I started out existence with a quote-unquote IOU from the fucking one of your sisters. The last thing I want is to have another one from you.
Then it's simply, in that case, an extension, an olive branch, stating that unless circumstances truly call for it, we're not going to just kill each other for no reason at all, yes?
Basically.
Well, in that case, there was no need for you to be worried in the first place. I mean, again, believe it or not, I don't just kill people for absolutely no reason. And in fact, I've dissuaded my mother from doing that very thing to you. Just because I, to be honest, don't think you're really worth her time. And while you are...
Fucking what?
Oh, yes. She's offered to take you out of the picture for me. But regardless, if you let me finish, I was going to say that while you do irritate me on several levels just because of how different we are, this meeting has opened my eyes a little bit to your sort of mindset on things, and well, I can't say I really hate you, or absolutely just want to destroy you with every fiber of my being. So, in that case, I suppose wish granted.
Cool.
Will that be all, or do you want to converse a bit more?
They just take a moment and just sort of sit there and, you know, eyes shaded by the hat. Before, after a moment, Cadence just, like, looks to Vivian and asks, if Cynthia died that day, how would you have felt? If any one of your sisters, if your mom even, anything, how would you react? How would that change anything?
You're asking what I would do or how I would feel specifically?
Either.
How I would feel, frankly, is, I mean, heartbroken, miserable, defeated by proxy in some way. I still feel that a little bit, obviously not, as bad as it could have been, certainly. If a lot of you had done that, if you're asking what I would do, I could name any number of just unspeakable things I would want to unleash on your entire organization, but honestly, I don't think I would get the chance. If they'd managed to kill Cynthia, DBA wouldn't be here anymore because Kevaya would have destroyed it. It's as simple as that, really.
Your peace of mind, just as, you know, that's fair enough, I guess. Let's assume, right, just DBA doesn't exist. Something has torn your family apart. Would you drop everything? Would you just give up all those goals just to make sure it wouldn't happen again?
What part of me giving up my goals would ensure something like that never happens again? Exactly.
Changing your goals.
Are you suggesting that if we, the Vanderbilts, suddenly tried to become better people, that would stop people from trying to kill us?
I mean, no. I'm just asking. In a vacuum, in a situation where something horrible's happened, what would you do if it was on you?
She thinks about it. She gets kind of a more somber expression. Believe it or not, there was a time when I had given up on everything. Well, you're not the only one who's lost someone, let's just say. And I don't expect you to feel bad for me. I mean, he was killed, in the middle of doing something horrible that I'm sure you would detest. I'm sure many would say he got what he deserved, but, well,
Loss
to me,
is
that was all
loss.
secondary. Yes. And, it was a few years before I could, bring myself to do anything again. And it's not a time that I like remembering. And it's not a time that I ever thought I would bring up to you. I figured you would just make fun of me, to be honest. Most people would. But yes, I was very defeated for a decent period of my life.
I wouldn't make fun of someone for losing something. I know you might probably think that's because I'm a goody two-shoes or whatever. To be entirely honest, I just don't fucking... A win's a win. And a win is not losing something. But you know what? A win in this circumstance, seeing a little bit of humanity, which is nice, actually. You feel like sharing any details about it?
Whatever would interest you, I suppose. I
What
don't
was the
mind
whole
talking about it.
What was the situation?
How did it happen, you mean?
Yeah.
The two of us were fighting a organization who had been troubling Kevaya for quite some time. He did a lot of jobs with me like that, even though, I mean, of course we shared what we earned, but it wasn't really his, like, exact career path, if that makes any sense. He was ex-military, and, well, we were fighting them, and I got overconfident, and, I mean, so did he. We remained separated from each other for a bit too long, and I cleaned up my part of the job and was surprised to find that he hadn't. So I entered into a fight for my life, to put it bluntly, and of course I made it out fine and went to find him, and there he was. And I didn't get to see how it happened or anything like that, but
I assume that's shaped what you decide to do.
How do you
Think of
mean?
like... Are you thinking of making your way to the top? Like, is that almost like in any minor way, honoring the fallen, or something that he would have wanted you to do, or anything?
I had that desire from before he was killed. So, in that way, I don't think I really changed, but it taught me some things, certainly. Sure, Alice.
Yeah,
sorry.
we can swap tracks again.
But if you're looking for some grand reason why I have to do what I do or something like that, then no, that's not it.
She nods. Well, to be honest, got what I expected and a little more. If you want to go, that's fine. To be honest, I'm just glad we got to talk this out.
I'll finish
Because-
the last of this salmon.
Huh?
I'm just finishing the last few bites, but go on.
I mean, you know. Wish that the rise to the top could be done without casualties, but like I guess that's not something you're in control of. Even God, that's gonna. She just kind of rubs her temple a little bit. But, you know.
But what?
It wasn't anything. It was just. If this could just be how conflicts were solved, I'd probably live a happy life.
You mean just talking things out?
I mean, yeah, it's the ideal. Do you think that she takes a moment? If I had gotten my epithet from birth, I probably would have been a brute that just liked to beat the shit out of people. But I guess in some way, I learned discipline. I learned to care. Before I learned how to hate.
Deep.
Thanks. I've been practicing that one all night.
Yeah. She just sort of like lazily, finishes the last couple bites of her food and wipes her mouth. Well, yes, it was an enlightening evening, if nothing else. Now I've gotten all upset. Well, it's fine. I'm in a better place now than I was then. I'm sure you're in a better place now. And when we inevitably have to rip each other's throats out, it's nothing personal.
Same. Just wish it wouldn't have to be that way.
Oh, well. She sort of, like, stands up and stretches her arms. Unless there's anything else you want to speak about, then I'll go ahead and adjourn.
No, yeah, we can probably leave. I was thinking of heading out anyway.
Oh no, is it gonna be an awkward, we both start walking the same way sort of thing?
No. I don't think so. Wait, actually, real quick though, before we leave, Caden just sort of takes a moment, and I imagine as they're just sort of walking out, Caden just does this dumb maneuver where, she, pushes Vivian against the wall, not in a rough way, but in like, the hot way, and just is like, let's be honest. If this was a date, you'd be calling 2 people mommy by the end of the night.
All right, pal.
Okay. Real self-confident in that one, Caden.
Just by the way you were talking when we first started.
You're a fucking moron. She pushes her
I
away
try.
and walks out.
So, Roche, because I thought it whenever you first brought up this restaurant, I assumed that Cadence got a hold of this restaurant because Cheshire suggested it, either because, just family ownership of some kind, or because Excalibur is putting cameras or something. Basically just some sort of discount so you could afford this place. Do you think that's a fair assumption?
Yeah, probably.
Alright.
That was, yeah.
Alright, you'll just get another text from Cheshire. Real smooth on that one, and then you get warped back.
Yup, and I think that's where we can end Short Story 6.
Uh-huh. Alright.
Amazing, thank you. That was
Just-
a lot of fun.
Just awful.
If you want
In a good way.
to be more aware for Cadence going for a swing and a miss on other Vanderbilts, make sure to join Fine Dining, our Discord server. Oh, there it is. In any case, say goodbye to chat, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.